What? They're bending the knee to the processors, the payment processors. Classic. Were they threatening to, like, pull processing from Steam over having some adult games on the platform? Yeah. That's crazy, man. That is so absurd.
There's a huge wave of censorship happening right now where hundreds of games are getting delisted and some people are even losing access to games that they already bought. And it's all because of this Australian advocacy group called Collective Shout that claims to be pro-woman even though they were the ones defending the Netflix show Cuties back in the day. And now they're doing harassment campaigns against anything that they personally find offensive. So recently they started pressuring Visa and MasterCard into cutting off payment services for platforms like Steam that host adult and NSFW games. And at first nobody paid that much attention since it was just a few extreme games that got removed from the Steam store page, but it always starts with whatever games they consider to be too offensive and it leads straight into censoring content that they disagree with. And it's gotten to the point where itch.io, one of the biggest platforms for indie games, has been forced to shadow ban all NSFW games from the storefront just to stay compliant with the payment processors. And the worst part is that this isn't just about censoring extreme video games, it's about how the two biggest credit card companies in the world can be pressured into deciding what kind of content you're allowed to buy and what platforms are allowed to sell.
The moral arbiters of our world now, the people that can control what anybody can consume on the internet without a government entity, without people just voting for it anymore.
These individuals have so much power and have so much weight and grip on cash flow that if they don't work with you, most likely your business is not really going to be able to make money. Because at this point, Visa and MasterCard and everyone else that's affiliated might as well be a government in itself.
It really doesn't matter if the content is legal. If Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal decides they don't like it, they can effectively shut down a business by cutting off its ability to take money. If platforms as open as Steam or itch.io have to bend to these pressures, there aren't many other places that offer the same reach or the basic tools to sell games and get paid. If you can't process payments, you can't run a business. So now the real people who control what games you can play are these payment companies. We've seen this kind of censorship happen outside of gaming too. We've talked about how it's impacted other industries from anime, music, to local businesses, billboards, anything you can think of. These people have probably tried to control it. So, what does the future hold for indie games and digital storefronts? Are there really any solutions? Make sure if you are in the US, you pressure your elected officials to back the Fair Access to Banking Act, which addresses this exact issue. It's still currently in the early stages, but it can play a huge part in how these payment processors abuse their power. As gamers, it's important to understand that this isn't just about these gooner games, or even gaming itself. This issue is huge and is happening all over, so I'll also leave a link to a petition about this issue. The itch.io situation should be a huge wake-up call to anyone who thought that this was just Steam related, and before you know it, it won't just be these adult games getting taken down. Payment processors are now controlling gaming platforms and listening to groups like Collective Shout, who actively complain about any content they don't like. Visa is now under fire for antitrust and anti-monopoly reasons in Japan, so let's hope next we see some action taken for this censorship issue.
Censorship is not something that is a good thing. This is not a positive thing. Yoko Taro also came forward saying, like, this is pretty bad stuff, you know, that other countries can now limit everyone else's free speech. He's right. That's not great. You don't like to see that. It is clear now that these platforms are willing to go belly up, roll over, and suck the fucking schmeat of the payment processing cartel that shackles them. These payment processing patriots, who all of a sudden care so deeply about morality, are able to get these platforms to censor themselves at the behest of the organizations that are strong-arming them. If you can get 1,000 people together and successfully have these payment processors threaten to leave some of the biggest platforms for gaming, think about what kind of power you can control with these payment processors. If you can just have them like puppets on your strings, that is so dangerous. There is no amount of mental gymnastics you can possibly do to conjure up a justification for why a payment processor has a say in what you can spend your money on, what they will permit you to spend your doubloons on. That is a bad direction for the future, which obviously extends far beyond just video games. This is a much bigger topic, a bigger issue than just gaming. Payment processors should have no say in what you spend your fucking money on. Of course, that doesn't apply when it's like you trying to buy something highly illegal. I get that. But things like this is absurd. Like, this is completely preposterous and out of control.
These games no longer show up in searches or when you browse the store. A quick comparison of before and after this change shows that now over 17,000 games are hidden. This isn't just 10, 20, or 30 games removed. We're talking about a huge portion of the library. They have taken down nearly every single adult game on their platform, which will lead to hundreds, if not thousands of games getting completely banned and removed. Now, if you're thinking, well, these are just adult games, I don't really care. You need to realize this issue is so much larger than just some porn games, from anything with too much violence to anything they simply don't agree with.
Sucks for the game devs, but I'm glad those games aren't going to be on there anymore. That's how it always starts. No, surely this act of censorship is going to stop here and won't spiral out of control. Surely these credit card companies that are acting as moral arbiters now are going to stop at just these games I don't like.
Today, it's something that you don't like being banned in fiction, but tomorrow, it may be something that you do like.
And anyone being in support of this is going to learn the hard way that these rules can also come for you as well, because when the content that you like is now put under the microscope and they deem it unnecessary for what you want to watch and what you want to play, that's when you'll realize, oh shit, fuck, I should have been there from the beginning.
And a lot of people were pumping their fists like, yeah, that's good. How could you possibly be mad at that? Less degeneracy and disgusting shit on the platform. This is a big W across the board. It's not censorship if it's things I don't like being taken down. Clearly, they're only going to use this power to take down very bad, gross things, which is the most low IQ take you could ever have. Collective Shout, just yesterday, has now also gone after itch.io, and they have removed every single not suitable for work game from their platform.
Their entire brand, Collective Shout's entire brand, is to run defense for girls and women. But the fact that they straight up went out of their way to run defense for cuties, and then it wasn't just one post, but multiple posts on their main account defending cuties or retweeting people defending cuties, and even having one of their co-founders, this individual right here, making a giant, an absolutely Goliath post on Facebook about cuties. It is actually insane. Like, here's the post here, I'm just gonna pull it up. Like, look at how massive and a Goliath size like post to dissect cuties and say that it's a good thing that it came out because it, it needed to happen. It's a good film and all that. They are completely fine that, like, 11-year-olds are put in these situations in a actual live-action movie. It's very obvious there's problems with that, okay? It's cuties is not fiction, okay? It's not, like, animated. It's not drawings. It's real kids and very exploitive, like, situations. Now, most of you might be unaware of who this is, but this is an Australian senator that tried to get all anime and manga banned back in 2020. So you're probably wondering, how is this connected? How is this connected to Collective Shout? How is this connected to payment processors? So this person, you can see I quote retweeted, is actually a member of, you guessed it, Collective Shout.
And these hags will contact their hag friends to squash fiction and some crusade to feel important. They will outright lie about games or media, whatever, to get their way. They claim that they want to keep kids safe, but instead of encouraging parents to parent and fighting to change the culture that puts responsibility back on the parents instead of government, they decide to go after Etsy for selling adult items to adults. These groups use harsh language to try to discredit any complaints. After all, only a loon would say something negative about the idea of protecting kids. But this isn't about kids at all. Otherwise, they do what I said above. Instead, it's about destroying everything that they don't like.
Apparently, the same group was trying to take down Detroit Becoming Human as well, just because they depict violence against women and possibly children as well. Pretending that people can't differentiate between fictional fantasy and real-world ethics is really insulting, and you're treating the public probably how you process things like a child. They will say everything under the earth is bad just so they can control the masses. Because if you convince people something is wrong with them and you make them the enemy of themselves, then you can convince them that they need you to feel righteous. That's all it is. It's a freaking cult.
Collective Shout is the one behind Steam censorship, and it's come out they've protected people who abuse kids. They're going after Detroit Become Human. In 2018, Collective Shout encouraged its supporters to sign a petition to ban Detroit Become Human for sale in Australia, claiming the game features child abuse and violence against women. In 2014, the organization called on Target to remove Grand Theft Auto 5 from store shelves, sharing a petition that claims the game encourages players to commit sexual violence and kill women. Collective Shout described GTA as if it were a misogynistic funhouse, stating the game lets players enact their fantasies of committing extreme violence against women, including punching women to the point of unconsciousness, killing them with a bat, gun, or machete, running them down with a car, and setting them on fire as they continue screaming. What? What? And another scary fact, the article I was reading on stream, that article that I was reading then, got taken down 8 hours after stream. So Collective Shout not only has pull in censoring games, but it looks like they can even take down some articles that are a little, harsh on how they're going about their mission or what they're trying to do here.
It's the fact that a couple of screeching Karens over in Australia can truly get together and now decide what I can play on my Steam account depending upon what their morality is. If they had their way, games like The Coffin of Andy and Laylee wouldn't be available for you to play at all. Even though that game can be incredibly disturbing, it really goes to show that other people who do not understand what video games are as a true form of art should not have the ability to censor and push towards what other people can and cannot purchase because of their specific moralities. Really? Who the are you to tell me what I can and cannot buy? As long as it's totally legal and you're not ending up on the Epstein files, really, I don't see what the issue truly is. Yeah, some games aren't made for you. That's okay. Don't push what you feel and what your ideal morals are onto other people because that is not your responsibility. Take care of your own house before you start talking about what other people can and can't do with their money.